Move on. Also, the other team in New York. The other team in New York, I say.
The other team, that's just so disrespectful. The other championship contending team in New York.
It's true. Think about this for a minute. The
I
Brooklyn
would
Nets,
say the
Saturday
other.
night.
Don't frame it that
I wouldn't
way.
say, Jay, I wouldn't say
that
the
way.
other championship contending team. The
Fair.
only championship contending team.
That's right.
Fair. And I have acknowledged that. So, but still, Saturday night, they too got off to a slow start. They too looked like, not playing for a week, had to knock off some rust, weren't making their threes early. But man, that second half. And I said this early, we all do this week one of NFL. We have these irrational takes. I'll do the irrational takes out of the first weekend of the NBA playoffs. And my irrational take, which I don't think is so irrational, is after watching that second half, the Nets are going to roll through the East. After watching everybody else in the East and watching the Nets, they're going to roll through the East. That's how I feel after watching the second half. They have way too much firepower, and when they want to play defense, they can. And they're pretty good at it.
Alan, you're so wrong. You're so wrong on this one. Did you watch how stagnant they're? I mean, granted, second half, those boys started to light up. But do you know how it was one-on-one basketball for the Nets? It was like, hey, KD, do your thing. Then Kyrie was like, it's my turn. Then James was like, it's my turn. Then Kyrie was like, hey, it's my turn. It was one-on-one on one-on-one constantly. I'm trying to tell you, I still have the Nets coming out of the East, but when they get to the next round, I don't put anything on Boston. I'm not having a big takeaway against the Boston Celtics. Stop Jason Tatum. You beat the Boston Celtics. That's easy, considering the season. And I'm not taking that on Boston, but we all know what Boston is right now. They're a team trending in a different direction, right? When you start getting to the Milwaukees, or when you start getting to like that next level, if Milwaukee is able to win that series, you have to play team basketball. We will see real tests when they play against their next round against real basketball. They can share the rock. If they can actually draw a line in the sand defensively. I don't think this is going to be a walk-away cupcake type of thing for the Nets.
They may not roll through it as far as sweeping every single team. They might drop one or two along the way. Yeah. But I'm with Allen on this one. I don't see it. I don't give a damn if they play one-on-one out in the park somewhere. I don't see it.
Like, what about what you saw between the Heat and Bucks told you, like, wow, like they're going to really give them a hard time? What about what the Sixers, in their series, like, what about that made you feel like, oh, they're really going to give the Nets a hard time? I mean, I'm watching all these games, and that's what I keep coming back to is how can anybody match up with them?
They got just too much firepower.
Yeah.
And when you scoring, Jay, when you scoring at that volume, the way that they can't score, that is their defense.
Yeah.
That's their defense right there, because now you're rushing shots or you're stressing out because you're playing such major catch-up.
Oh, I understand. I'm just, as we get deeper into the playoffs, team basketball does matter to a certain extent. And I do think the lack of continuity, there will have to be major growth for the Nets throughout this run. I don't think it's just going to be cupcake city for them. There's going to be some battles where series might go to 6 or 7 that they're going to need to really find a way to grind out. It's not going to be like they're just going to smack everybody 4-0 or a gentleman's sweep in 5-0 and 4-1.
What do you think of now that we've seen all the game ones? What series stands out to you as the most compelling, Jay? Which one is the one you're like, man, this is one you definitely don't want to miss a game?
I mean, I have to go back to Lakers Suns. I go Lakers Suns. Right? There's so much. I go Lakers Suns. I go Bucks Heat, just because I saw, for as much as you guys went hard on Giannis and that opening segment about Jimmy Butler driving by him, and that was one segment that we showed on NBA Countdown. I mean, Jimmy Butler was 4 of 22 from the field, and he was guarded by Giannis, right? Like, he couldn't. I mean, Giannis did defend that matchup very well throughout the entire course of the game. So understanding how the Miami Heat shot so poorly, like, that's also going to be a series that I think can go 6 or 7.
Are you watching anything other than Lakers? Is there anything other that stands out to you?
I mean, right now, that's pretty much it, right? I mean, Sixers, Wizards, because of the two guys up in Washington. Other than that, I'm not really. It's really
Mavs Clippers.
Nah,
Mavs Clippers. Come on, man.
Why would I waste? I'm not wasting 3 hours of my day messing around with the Clippers.
He might have sent a message in that series,
because Kawhi,
Clippers once again.
Kawhi and them, they just. I don't know, man. It's the Clippers. It's the Clips of the Clips.
I'm telling you, Pandemic P was trending all day long on Twitter.
We'll see what happens between the Sixers and the Clippers and who goes the furthest. No more Doc. They blame Doc. Doc is now over here in Philly. Seem like that they going to be all right.
He was too tough on him, right?
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, they got what they wanted.
Yeah.
You know, Ty Lue, my man, but it's just crazy because Ty Lue was on the bench with Doc, coaching the same sort of style and way. It's like, well, how did you move on from that to go to that, which is the same thing?
It's a personality thing, isn't it?
And it is. And Alan, something else that stood out to me from the weekend. Like I'm so fascinated. You know, you're a Knicks fan, and I know that we put a lot of players on the Knicks, but like, let's just be real about it. How long can CP3 last in Phoenix? Like, there is a lot of ties between Devin Booker and the Knicks.
Devin Booker will be in L.A.
No, or the Lakers, right? There's a lot of this intrigue. I'll tell you another tie. You know who's from Connecticut, from Greenwich, Connecticut, who grew up going to Knicks games? Like, and I'm not sure he's the happiest in Utah. I don't know what's going on. Did you hear the way Rudy Gobert and some of those guys talked about Donovan Mitchell not playing? Like, that's an interesting dynamic for me to follow. Like, him and Rudy Gobert were like, hey, I don't know our star players are ready to play in game one. They dropped that game to the Grizzlies.
What happened there, though, Jay?
Because
I thought he declared himself ready.
I thought he declared himself ready, too. I do not know.
No, we got to dive deeper, certainly, into that.